Nora Ellis folded the last blue sweater into her suitcase and pressed both palms against the lid. The old green case had never closed easily. One corner was bent, one wheel squeaked, and the brass zipper caught near the handle. Normally, Ben would kneel on top while Ellie pulled the zipper around, both of them laughing as if packing were a team sport. That morning the room was silent. Michael Carter stood in the doorway with his arms folded. Claire Denton waited behind him, one hand resting against the frame as though she already owned the space Nora was leaving. "You don't have to make this harder," Michael said. Nora looked at him. "I'm not the one making it harder." His jaw tightened. He had not slept. She could see it in the gray beneath his eyes and the way he kept pressing his thumb into his palm. "The locket was under the lining of your suitcase," he said. "Your coat opened the side door at 1:14 in the morning. What am I supposed to think?" The truth would be a fine place to start. Claire let out a slow breath. "Nora, please. The children are downstairs." "I know where the children are." Nora closed the suitcase. The zipper snagged, and for one foolish second she almost called for Ben. Her hand remained on the metal pole until the urge passed. Michael stepped into the room. On the dresser sat the locket inside a clear plastic bag. Gold oval. Tiny flower engraving. Emily's initials on the back. Nora had held that locket many times. She had fastened it around Emily Carter's neck before family photographs. She had tucked the twins' first school picture inside it after Emily's hands became too weak to manage the clasp. But when Michael had shown it to her that morning, something had felt wrong. Too smooth. Too light. The clasp had closed without catching. She reached toward the bag. Claire moved first. "Don't touch it." Nora stopped. "I wasn't going to steal it twice." Michael flinched. The words had landed harder than she intended. Good, she thought, then immediately hated herself for thinking it. Claire lowered her voice. "That's exactly the kind of comment that makes this worse." "No," Nora said. "What makes this worse is acting like a label on a screen is the same thing as proof." Michael looked toward the staircase. "I checked the lock history myself." "You checked the first screen." It said Nora. "My name can be typed by anybody." "That code was yours." "It used to be." Claire's expression changed just for a second. So quickly Nora might have missed it if she had not spent 30 years watching children hide broken lamps, unfinished homework, and fear. Nora picked up the suitcase. "I'm leaving because I won't argue about their mother in front of them," she said. "I'm not admitting a thing." Michael stepped aside. The suitcase wheel squealed as Nora rolled it into the hallway. She passed framed photographs of Emily with the twins as babies, Emily at the lake, Emily laughing with flour on her cheek. Then came newer pictures. Michael and Claire at a charity dinner. Claire with the twins at the pumpkin patch. A wedding invitation sample clipped to a board. Nora went down the stairs one careful step at a time. At the bottom, Ellie and Ben stood shoulder to shoulder against the front door. Ellie's dark braid was half undone. Ben still wore one pajama sock and one sneaker. Both had been crying. "Move away from the door," Michael said. Neither child moved. Nora set the suitcase upright. "Guys," she said softly. "Come here." Ben grabbed the suitcase handle instead. "You can't go." "I have to leave the house for now." "No," his voice cracked. "You said for now last time." Nora knew exactly what he meant. The night Emily died, Nora had taken the twins to her apartment while relatives filled the house. She had promised their father would come for them soon. Ben had sat awake until sunrise, asking what soon meant. Ellie pressed both hands flat against the door. "She put it there." Claire's face hardened. "Ellie." Nora raised one hand. "Don't accuse anybody unless you saw something." "I didn't see her put it there," Ellie said. "But she asked where you kept your suitcase." Michael turned. "Claire?" "For the honeymoon packing," Claire said quickly. "I was asking everyone about luggage." Ben shook his head. "No, you asked which bag Miss Nora used when she left places." Nora's throat tightened. Michael took a step toward the twins. "That doesn't prove anything." Ben pulled harder on the handle. "The locket wasn't in there." "How would you know?" Michael asked. Ben looked at Nora, guilty now. "I put something inside." "What?" He reached for the zipper. Nora opened it before Michael could stop him. Ben dug beneath the folded sweater and found the inner seam. The lining had been cut and badly restitched. He slipped 2 fingers through the opening and pulled out a paper bird, crushed nearly flat. "I put this in yesterday morning," he said. The locket wasn't there then. Claire stared at the torn seam. Nora stared too. She had repaired hundreds of linings in her life. That stitching was rushed, uneven, done by someone who knew a needle only well enough to close a hole. Michael reached for the suitcase. Nora moved it behind her. "No. Nora, I need to see." "You already searched it." "I didn't know the lining had been cut." "Neither did I." Ellie's shoulders shook. "Please don't leave us." Nora crouched in front of both children. "Listen to me. I am not disappearing. I'm going to my apartment. I'll answer my phone. I'll tell the truth. But I cannot stay in a house where I'm being called a thief." Ben wiped his face with his sleeve. "What if Dad says you can't come back? Then your dad and I will have a very serious conversation." That almost earned a smile. Nora stood and faced Michael. "I didn't steal Emily's locket," she said. "If you report me, I'll challenge it. If you keep my belongings, I'll ask for them back in writing. And if you want the truth, don't stop at the first screen because it tells you what you expect to see." Michael looked at the twins, then at Claire, then at the suitcase. "Move away from the door," he said again. This time Nora touched Ellie's shoulder. "It's okay." The twins stepped aside together. Nora opened the door herself. Cold morning air entered the house. Behind her, Ben said, "You better come back." Nora looked over her shoulder. "I said I wouldn't disappear." Then she rolled the green suitcase down the steps, its bad wheel rattling behind her like a warning no one in that house was ready to hear. By 9 o'clock, Nora's suitcase stood open on her apartment floor. She had unpacked nothing. Her place was small but orderly. 2 bedrooms, though the second had slowly become a sewing room. Spools of thread lined one wall. Alteration tickets hung from a corkboard. A photograph of Nora's mother sat beside an old black sewing machine that had belonged to her grandmother. Nora placed Ben's paper bird on the kitchen table and opened a fresh notebook. At 9:07 her phone rang. "Ms. Ellis?" a woman from the caregiving agency said. "We received notice of a possible property incident involving the Carter placement." "A possible theft," Nora said. "You can call it what they called it." The woman paused. "Mr. Carter hasn't submitted the formal complaint yet." "Yet." "He indicated he would send supporting documentation by Monday. Until then, we need you to avoid accepting new placements through the agency." Nora gripped the pen. "I've worked with you for 11 years. I understand." "No, you know. That's different." The woman's voice softened. "I know your record. I also know the policy. Once a property allegation is made, we have to pause assignments while it's reviewed." "How long?" "That depends on the documentation." Nora looked at the green suitcase. "Send me everything in writing." "All right. And note that I deny taking the item." "I will." After the call, Nora wrote 4 words at the top of the notebook. "What I know for certain." She listed the facts. The locket had been discovered beneath the suitcase lining. The lining had been cut and resewn. Ben had placed the paper bird inside the same compartment the previous morning. A door code labeled Nora had been used at 1:14 a.m. Her usual code had failed 2 days earlier when she arrived to pick up the twins from school. She had assumed Michael changed the battery or reset the lock. Claire had opened the door from inside and said the keypad was acting up. Nora underlined that memory twice. Then she drew the locket. She was no artist, but she knew stitches. 6 years earlier, Emily had caught the necklace on a loose thread in a wool sweater. The locket had fallen, tearing the green velvet inside. Nora had repaired the lining at the kitchen table while Emily watched. "You can sew anything," Emily had said. "Not anything. You sewed Ben's stuffed shark back together after the dog ate its face. That was surgery." Emily had laughed until she coughed. Nora closed her eyes. The real locket's velvet had 2 visible green stitches near the lower edge because Nora had used the closest thread she had. The hinge was slightly crooked after a jeweler replaced it. The clasp resisted before snapping shut. The locket in Michael's plastic bag had looked perfect. Too perfect. Her phone buzzed with a message from Ellie. "Did you get home?" Before Nora could reply, another message appeared. "Dad says we are not supposed to bother you." Nora typed carefully. "I got home safely. You are not bothering me. Listen to your dad for now. I meant what I said." 3 dots appeared, vanished, then returned. "Ben says the bird looked better before." Nora smiled despite herself. "Tell Ben his folding needs work." She took a photograph of the bird, then stopped before sending it. Michael had asked her not to contact the children privately. She did not agree with the decision, but she would not hand Claire another reason to accuse her of manipulating them. Nora set the phone face down. At noon she called Michael at the printing shop. Machines hummed behind him when he answered. "I'm busy. I need a photograph of the locket." "You saw it." "I need the inside, the hinge, the clasp, and the back. Clear pictures." "For what?" "To compare it with the repairs." "Nora, this is getting out of hand." "No. It got out of hand when you decided a screen label was more reliable than the woman who helped raise your children." Michael said nothing. Nora continued. Emily's locket had 2 green stitches inside the velvet. The replacement hinge sat a little high. The clasp caught before it closed. "I never noticed any of that. You weren't the one who repaired the lining." "So what are you saying?" "I'm saying the locket you showed me didn't feel right. You held it for 2 seconds. That was enough to notice the clasp." Michael lowered his voice. "Claire says you were staring at it because you were trying to figure out what you'd done wrong." Nora laughed once without humor. "Claire has an explanation ready for everything, doesn't she? Watch it. I asked for photographs. I didn't ask you to accuse anybody else. You've already let the kids do that." "I stopped Ellie the second she said Claire put it there." Michael's silence told Nora he remembered. "Send me the pictures," she said. "If I'm wrong you lose 5 minutes. If I'm right you've got a much bigger problem than me." 20 minutes later 4 images arrived. Nora enlarged the first photograph. The hinge was straight. The clasp was new. Inside, the velvet was smooth and untouched. No green stitches. No small puckering where Emily's photograph had once caught against the fabric. Nora compared it with an old family picture on her phone. Emily stood beside the twins at their kindergarten graduation. The locket rested against her blouse, turned slightly sideways. Near the engraved initials was a shallow diagonal scratch. The locket in Michael's photograph had no scratch. Nora called Felix Moreno. His repair shop had occupied the same narrow storefront for 38 years. Felix had repaired Emily's wedding ring, Michael's watch, and the broken clasp on the twins' baptism bracelets. "Moreno Jewelry," he answered. "Felix, this is Nora Ellis." "Well, I'll be. Haven't heard your voice in a while. I need to ask you about Emily Carter's locket." The warmth left his voice. "What about it? Do you remember replacing the hinge?" "I remember most repairs. I have photographs of a locket Michael believes is Emily's. I don't think it is." A long pause followed. "Bring me the pictures," Felix said. "Do you know something?" "I know I don't discuss jewelry over the phone." Nora looked at the notebook. "Fair enough." "And Nora?" "Yes. Don't send those photographs to anybody else yet." The line went dead. Nora wrote Felix's name beneath the list of facts. For the first time that day she felt something other than grief. Not hope exactly. Direction. Felix Moreno wore 2 pairs of glasses at once. One rested on his nose. The other sat above it, pushed into thick gray hair. He studied Michael's photographs beneath a magnifying lamp while Nora waited across the counter. The shop smelled of metal polish and coffee. Tiny drawers covered the wall behind him, each labeled in Felix's neat handwriting. "You're sure Michael took these today?" he asked. "He sent them this afternoon." Felix enlarged the photograph on Nora's phone. "And he says this came from your suitcase?" "Under the lining." Felix removed 1 pair of glasses. "That hinge isn't mine." Nora released a breath she had not realized she was holding. "What else?" "The clasp is modern. Machine-made. The engraving is close but the pressure is too even." "Meaning?" meaning a computer-guided tool probably cut it. Emily's initials were done by hand. Nora pointed to the velvet. There should be green stitches. I remember. You do. Felix looked up. Emily brought it here after you repaired the lining. She complained that I charged too much for the hinge and then brought me cookies the next day. That sounds like her. This object may look convincing from across a room, but it's not the locket I repaired. Would you put that in writing? Felix leaned back. I would need to inspect the object itself. Michael won't hand it over. Then I can only say the photographs are inconsistent with my work. That's still something. Felix turned the phone face down on the counter. Nora, has anyone mentioned a duplicate? She studied him. You have. I asked whether anyone mentioned one. No. He polished an already clean section of glass. A customer recently requested a copy of that design. Who? You know I can't tell you that. Felix, I'm about to lose my job. And I'm about to be accused of handing out customer records because somebody walks in upset. I didn't walk in upset. I walked in with details only the real locket would have. That doesn't give me permission. Nora pressed her lips together. Felix was cautious to the point of irritation, but caution was not the same thing as dishonesty. When was the copy completed? I didn't say it was completed. You didn't have to. He gave her a tired look. Was it before yesterday? Nora asked. Felix said nothing. That's all right, she said. I'll find another way. As she turned, he called her name. The photographs you showed me, he said. Do not let anyone convince you that object is Emily's original. Nora nodded once. That afternoon, Michael allowed her to return to the Carter house for her sewing machine and 2 boxes of personal supplies. He insisted on being present. Claire insisted too. The twins waited at the living room window. When Nora's car pulled into the driveway, Ben pressed both palms against the glass. Ellie lifted one hand but did not wave. Inside, the house felt different. Not hostile exactly. Worse than hostile. Careful. Nora walked toward the stairs. Claire stepped in front of her. The sewing machine is in the basement. It was in the guest room closet. I moved it. Why? Because we needed the room. Nora looked toward Michael. He rubbed the back of his neck. Let's just get your things. In the basement, Nora found the machine beside boxes of wedding decorations. Gold ribbon spilled from one. Another held sample table cards and gray tissue paper printed with the name of Felix's jewelry shop. Nora reached toward it. Claire closed the box. Those are wedding materials. I can see that. Then you know they're private. The twins appeared on the stairs. Dad said we could help, Ben said. Michael came behind them. Only carry the light stuff. Nora knelt to check the sewing machine case. Did either of you come down here yesterday morning? Ben nodded. I was looking for tape. Did you see my suitcase? It was upstairs. Ellie glanced at Claire. Nora noticed. Ellie, tell me only what you remember. Don't guess. Claire folded her arms. This is inappropriate. What did you ask her? Ellie said. Nothing yet. Claire looked at Michael. She's questioning them. I'm asking where my things were. Ellie stepped closer to Nora. Claire asked where you kept your suitcase. Claire sighed. We discussed luggage for the honeymoon. You asked which one she used when she left people, Ellie said. I said when she traveled. No, you didn't. Michael held up a hand. Enough. Nora looked at Ellie. Did you see Claire touch my suitcase? No. Did you see anyone put the locket inside? No. Then that is where your answer stops. Ellie's chin trembled. But I know you didn't do it. I'm grateful you believe me. Believing me and proving it are different jobs. Ben carried a small box to the stairs. That's dumb. Sometimes the truth has paperwork, Nora said. Still dumb. Can't argue with that. Michael almost smiled, but Claire saw it and the expression disappeared. Nora packed her sewing supplies. As she lifted the machine, a familiar ache ran through her shoulder. Ben reached for the other side. I've got it, she said. You always say that. This time Michael answered. Let him help. Nora and Ben carried the machine together. At the front door, Ellie slipped a folded note into Nora's coat pocket. Nora did not open it until she reached the public library. The note contained 4 words. Check when code stopped working. Nora sat at a table near the back and opened her notebook. She drew 3 columns. Confirmed. Observed. Assumed. Under confirmed, she wrote that the photographed locket did not match Felix's repair. Under observed, she wrote that Claire had asked about the suitcase, gray Felix Moreno tissue had been inside a wedding box, and Nora's code had failed 2 days before the alleged entry. Under assumed, she wrote that Claire ordered the replica and planted it. Then she crossed out Claire's name. Assumptions were dangerous. They felt like facts when repeated often enough. Michael had already made that mistake. Nora would not copy him. She called the company that manufactured the Carter House lock. An automated voice asked for an account number she did not have. After 12 minutes, a representative explained that only the verified owner could access detailed records. Does the app show who physically entered? Nora asked. It shows the label assigned to the code. So if someone creates a code and labels it Nora, the ordinary activity screen says Nora? That is correct. Can the account owner see who created the code? Depending on the model, the administration history may show the paired device or owner profile. How long is that kept? Usually 30 days. Nora wrote the answer in capital letters. A label was not a person. It was a name someone typed. She called Michael. He rejected the call. A minute later, a message arrived. Do not contact the kids again without me. Nora looked at Ellie's note. She typed back. I agree that adult conversations should include you. Please ask the lock company for the full administration history, not only the entry screen. Michael replied almost immediately. Stop trying to turn this around on Claire. Nora placed the phone on the table. She had not mentioned Claire. That was Michael's assumption. And for the first time, Nora wondered whether a part of him had already begun to see what he was afraid to name. The next morning, Nora discovered that one of her alteration kits was missing. It contained shears inherited from her grandmother, a silver thimble, chalk, needles, and a seam ripper she had owned for 25 years. She knew exactly where she had left it, in the Carter home office after shortening Claire's rehearsal dinner dress. Nora emailed Michael rather than calling. I need to retrieve my blue sewing case from the office closet. Please tell me a time when you can be present. Michael answered an hour later. 2:30, 10 minutes. When Nora arrived, Michael was still at the printing shop. Claire opened the door. He got held up. I'll wait outside. For heaven's sake, Nora. Your box is in the office. Get it and go. Nora hesitated. Claire stepped aside. Unless being alone with me ruins your latest theory. I don't have a theory. Sure you don't. Nora walked into the office. Her blue case sat on the closet floor exactly where she remembered. She lifted it, then noticed Claire's planner open on the desk. Nora did not intend to read it. That was what she told herself later. But a line written in red caught her eye. FM, recut/final pickup. The date was 3 days before the locket appeared in Nora's suitcase. Nora's pulse quickened. She set down the sewing case and took out her phone. One photograph, she thought. Not to publish. Not to send. Just to preserve the date. The camera clicked. Behind her, Claire said, "What are you doing?" Nora turned. Claire's face had gone pale. I saw Felix's initials. So you photographed my private planner? I photographed one line. You broke into my office. The door was open. You told me to come in. Claire snatched the planner and held it against her chest. This is harassment. Then tell me what FM means. It means none of your business. Does it mean Felix Moreno? Claire walked into the hall and raised her voice. Get out. Nora picked up the blue case. Michael entered through the front door as she reached the stairs. What happened? Claire held up the planner. She photographed my appointments. Michael looked at Nora. Tell me that isn't true. It's true. His disappointment hit harder than anger. Why would you do that? Because the date and initials may relate to the replica. What replica? Nora looked at Claire. Felix says the locket you found is not the one he repaired. Claire laughed sharply. Felix showed her my records? No. Then she's bluffing. Michael stepped between them. Nora, delete the photograph. I won't use it. That's not what I asked. Nora opened her phone and deleted the image. Then she opened the recently deleted folder and removed it there too. Claire watched every movement. It doesn't change what I saw, Nora said. Michael's voice dropped. You had no right. No, I didn't. Claire blinked, apparently surprised by the admission. Nora continued. It was wrong. That doesn't make the locket real. You can't keep doing this, Michael said. Questioning the kids. Going through Claire's things. Calling vendors. I asked a jeweler about his own repair. You're obsessed. I'm accused. Michael looked away. Nora knew the difference between explaining herself and digging the hole deeper. She picked up the sewing case. Send the agency whatever you believe you need to send, she said. I'll answer it with facts. By evening, the preliminary complaint arrived in her email. Michael had attached the ordinary smart lock screen, photographs of the locket, and a statement describing where it had been found. He also included Nora's unauthorized photograph of Claire's planner as evidence of escalating behavior, though the photograph itself had been deleted. Nora read the complaint twice. Then she added her mistake to the timeline. She did not soften it. She had violated Claire's privacy. The fact that Claire might be hiding something did not make every method acceptable. The following day, Nora returned to Felix's shop with Emily's old repair receipt. She placed it on the counter. This is Michael's property record, she said. It identifies the locket, the engraving, and your hinge replacement. Felix examined the faded paper. I'm not asking who ordered anything, Nora continued. I'm asking when you last saw the original. Felix's shoulders lowered. Why does that matter? Because Michael says I took it Thursday night. If you saw it in someone else's possession before then, the timeline matters. Felix walked to a filing cabinet and removed a thick binder. He flipped through repair slips but kept the pages angled away from Nora. I saw the original Tuesday afternoon. 2 days before. Yes. Who brought it? Felix closed the binder. I won't give you the customer's name without permission. Was it Michael? No. Was it in my possession? No. Nora waited. Felix rubbed one hand over his face. The person asked whether the original engraving could be reproduced more accurately. I said no copy would match hand engraving exactly. The person left with the original. Was the replica already made? I'm not answering that. Fair enough. Felix looked toward the front window. I should have called Michael. Why didn't you? The person said the locket was being used in the wedding. That Michael knew. It was not my place to question a family arrangement. People say that when they're hoping not to get involved. You're not wrong. Nora folded the receipt and returned it to her bag. Would you tell Michael what you just told me? If he asks as the owner, yes. Nora nodded. Thank you. Outside, wind pushed dead leaves along the sidewalk. She called Michael. This time he answered. I have 5 minutes, he said. Felix saw Emily's genuine locket Tuesday afternoon. Michael was silent. It was in someone else's possession, Nora said. Not mine. Not yours. Did he tell you who? No. He'll tell you directly if you ask as the owner. Michael exhaled. Claire had wedding errands Tuesday. Nora said nothing. Don't, he warned. I didn't say a word. You didn't have to. Call Felix. Michael's voice hardened again. And what? Accuse my fiancée because she visited a jeweler? Ask a question. Questions are not accusations. You photographed her planner. I admitted that was wrong. And now you want me to invade her privacy too. No. I want you to ask where your late wife's locket was before it appeared in my suitcase. Michael ended the call. Nora stood on the sidewalk with the phone still at her ear. The first real crack had appeared in his certainty. But instead of moving toward the truth, he had planted both feet on either side of it and tried not to look down. Nora spent Friday morning looking at lockets. Gold lockets. Brass lockets. Oval lockets. Heart-shaped lockets. New ones made to look old and old ones polished until they looked new. She searched estate sales, pawn shops, jewelry resale sites, and local auction listings. At first she typed Emily Carter locket, which produced nothing useful. Then she narrowed the search. Oval gold locket. Floral engraving. Hand-cut initials. Replacement hinge. Regional consignment. She opened dozens of photographs. Each time her pulse jumped, the details failed. Wrong flower. Wrong clasp. Wrong initials. At 11:30, the face of a woman she had loved appeared inside an auction preview. Emily was laughing in the tiny photograph. It had been taken at the twins' third birthday party, the year Ben dropped his cupcake frosting side down and announced that the floor could have it. Nora leaned toward the screen. The listing described the item as a vintage engraved gold-filled locket with family photograph. Auction scheduled Saturday. Estimated value modest. Modest. Nora enlarged the back. There was the shallow diagonal scratch beside the initials. She enlarged the inside. 2 green stitches showed beneath the velvet. The genuine locket had not been in her suitcase. It was for sale across town. Nora called the auction office and reached a woman who introduced herself only as the floor manager. "I believe you have stolen property in tomorrow's sale," Nora said. "That is a serious claim." "I understand. Are you the legal owner?" "No." "Then the owner needs to contact us." "The owner doesn't yet believe it's missing." The manager paused. That sentence is not reassuring. Nora explained that a replica had been recovered while the genuine item appeared in the listing. "Can you tell me who consigned it?" "No." "Can you pause the sale?" "Not based on a telephone allegation from someone who is not the owner." "What would you need?" "Proof of ownership, identifying records, and either a formal dispute from the owner or documentation from law enforcement or counsel. If there is a credible ownership question, we can place an administrative hold while it is reviewed." "How long?" "That depends." "When does bidding close?" "Saturday at noon." Nora looked at the clock. 24 hours. "Please don't remove the listing. We won't alter an active catalog because someone called. I need the photographs visible. They will remain visible unless the lot is withdrawn." Nora thanked her and printed every page of the listing. Then she sent the link to Michael with one sentence. "Look inside the locket." He called within 3 minutes. "Where did you get this?" "It's public." "That could be any locket." "It contains Emily's photograph." His breath caught. Nora continued. "The scratch is beside the initials. The green stitches are inside. Compare it with what you found in my suitcase." "I'm looking." She heard papers moving and a door closing at the printing shop. "The auction says tomorrow," he said. "At noon." "How did it get there?" "That's what we need to establish." "We?" "Yes, Michael. We." "Unless you're planning to preserve your pride while someone sells your children's mother." "That's not fair." "Neither was searching my suitcase and reporting me before checking whether the locket was real." He was silent. Nora softened her tone but not the point. "The auction office needs the legal owner." "That's you." "They need purchase records, photographs, repair receipts, anything that identifies it. I have Emily's insurance inventory somewhere." "Find it." "What about the police?" "You can call, but don't expect them to settle a complicated ownership claim in 10 minutes. Start with the auction hold." Michael said, "Claire told me she took the locket to Felix for wedding repairs." Nora sat back. "When did she tell you?" "Just now. I asked after your call yesterday." "And why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't know what it meant." "What did she say happened after Felix?" "She returned it to the jewelry cabinet." "Did you see her do that?" "No." "Then you know what it means." "It means there's a gap." Michael sounded exhausted. "I don't know what to believe." "Believe what can be checked." At 2 that afternoon, Michael asked Nora to meet him in the school office. He did not want the twins overhearing another conversation at home. Ellie and Ben were already there when Nora arrived. The school secretary closed the door and left the 4 of them alone. Ben ran to Nora, then stopped halfway and looked at his father. Michael nodded. Ben completed the distance and wrapped both arms around Nora's waist. Ellie stayed by the chair. Nora crouched beside her. "Hey." Ellie's eyes filled. Are you mad at us? Not even a little. Dad said we shouldn't have messaged you. Your dad and I are sorting out adult boundaries. Ben frowned. That sounds fake. It means we disagree. Michael placed a printed auction photograph on the table. Do either of you recognize this? He asked. Ellie stared at the open locket. That's Mom. Have you seen the locket recently? The twins looked at each other. Nora spoke before either answered. Tell him only what you saw or heard. No guesses. No helping me. Ellie rubbed her thumb against her palm. Claire had it in her wedding box. Michael's face changed. When? Tuesday. She said it could be her something old. Ben added, I told her it wasn't hers. What did she say? That it would belong to the family after the wedding. Michael sat down. Ellie continued, then Thursday Claire asked if we saw Miss Nora near the jewelry cabinet. Did you? Michael asked. No. She said maybe we forgot. Ben kicked the leg of the chair. She wanted us to say yes. Michael's voice became very quiet. Those exact words? She said, sometimes you remember better when someone helps you. Nora felt anger rise so fast it made her hands cold. She looked at the twins. You did nothing wrong. Ellie whispered, we should have told Dad. You were scared. Claire said if the wedding got cancelled, Dad would be alone because we wouldn't let him be happy. Michael closed his eyes. Nora watched him absorb the cruelty of that sentence. Ben pointed at the auction page. Can we get Mom's necklace back? Michael looked at Nora. She could have said, I told you so. She could have made him apologize right there. Instead she slid the documentation list across the table. You can request the hold, she said. But you have to do it today. Michael read the page. What happens after that? We build a timeline. We verify the replica. We check the full lock history. And Claire? You ask her questions. You don't warn her about every piece of evidence before you preserve it. He looked up. You're telling me to investigate the woman I'm supposed to marry. No. I'm telling you to protect your children's property and find out why a copy of it was sewn into my suitcase. Ellie reached for Nora's hand. Nora held it. That changed the decision. Until that moment, Nora had been fighting to clear her own name. She wanted her job, her reputation, and the life she had built. Now the real locket was moving toward a sale, and the children had been asked to reshape their memories for an adult's convenience. This was no longer only about proving what Nora had not done. It was about what she was willing to do next. Michael, she said, send the auction office the ownership records. Then call the lock company. Today. He looked at the twins, then at Emily's photograph. All right, he said. It was not an apology. It was not trust. But it was the first decision he had made since the accusation that was based on evidence instead of fear. The agency suspension arrived before Michael's auction hold did. Nora opened the email at 7 Saturday morning. Pending resolution of the property allegation, all placement activity associated with your profile has been suspended. She read the line twice, then checked her bank account. Rent was due in 9 days. She had enough for rent, utilities, and groceries if nothing else went wrong. At 56, Nora had learned that something else was always waiting its turn. She called 3 former alteration clients. By noon, she had 2 pairs of pants to hem, a bridesmaid dress to let out, and a winter coat with a broken lining. It was not enough, but it was work. At 11, Michael texted that the auction office had placed the locket on a temporary administrative hold. They still required more documentation before releasing it. Nora typed good. Preserve everything. His answer came a minute later. Claire wants to talk to you. Nora stared at the message. About what? She says privately. Nora almost refused. Then she remembered the deadline, the replica, and Ellie's trembling voice in the school office. Public place, Nora wrote. No. A's Diner. Claire arrived 15 minutes late wearing dark glasses and a cream coat. She slid into the booth across from Nora and placed a folder on the table. You've made your point, Claire said. I didn't know we were scoring points. Michael is questioning everything. The twins won't speak to me. The auction house is treating me like a criminal. Did you consign the locket? Claire ignored the question. You think you're protecting them, but you're tearing the family apart. Nora leaned back. The family was not held together by my silence. Claire opened the folder and turned a document toward her. It was a statement. Nora read the first paragraph. It said she acknowledged entering areas of the Carter home without permission, interfering with private family matters, and exercising poor judgment around personal property. It did not say she stole the locket. It did not need to. What is this? You sign it. You stop contacting Michael, the children, Felix, and the auction business. I tell Michael I no longer want to pursue the agency complaint. And I leave town? Claire's mouth tightened. You accept work outside the county for 6 months. Nora almost laughed. You've been busy. I'm trying to give you a way out. A way out of what I didn't do? You violated my privacy. You questioned children. You interfered with my business contacts. Your business contact is selling Emily's locket. You don't know that. Then explain how the original got into the auction. Claire took off her glasses. Her eyes were red. For a moment she looked less like a strategist and more like a woman who had not slept for days. You have no idea what it's like to come into that house, she said. Emily is in every room. Every holiday has to be done the way she did it. Every decision gets measured against what she would have wanted. And you stand there like the keeper of the official version. Nora listened. Claire's voice shook. Michael asks your opinion before mine. The kids tell you things they won't tell me. I am supposed to marry into a family where there is no space left. There was space, Nora said. You kept trying to clear it by pushing other people out. Claire looked toward the window. Nora tapped the statement. Did you order the replica? I ordered a wedding keepsake. Did you put it in my suitcase? Claire's face closed again. Sign the paper. No. Think about your career. I am. You're suspended. Nora's fingers tightened around the edge of the table. Claire knew about the agency action quickly. Michael had told her, or she had asked. If you drag this out, Claire said, people will remember the accusation even if you technically clear yourself. You know how this works. I do. Then be practical. Nora thought of rent. She thought of the years it had taken to build trust with families who handed her house keys, medical information, and frightened children. A withdrawn complaint could save all of that. But the statement would remain. Poor judgment around personal property. Interfering with family matters. It would turn the truth into a blurry misunderstanding and leave Claire free to tell the children Nora had chosen to go. Nora closed the folder. No deal. Claire's voice sharpened. You really think Michael will take your side after you embarrassed him? This is not about sides. It's always about sides. That may be the problem. Nora stood. Claire grabbed the folder. You walk away from this offer, and I'll make sure the agency knows you've been stalking me. Nora looked down at her. Then make sure you spell my name right. Outside, Nora's knees nearly gave out. She sat in her car until her hands stopped shaking. By late afternoon, Michael sent a message. Do not contact the twins for now. Claire says the school conversation upset them and that you're encouraging them to distrust her. Nora called immediately. Michael answered but did not speak. Did the children say I upset them? No. Then why are you repeating Claire's claim? I need the pressure in this house to stop. You think removing me stops the pressure? I think everybody needs space. Fine. But be honest, you are not giving everyone space. You are giving Claire control of the room. That's enough. No, Michael. Enough was Thursday morning. He ended the call. Nora sat alone in her apartment with the winter coat spread across her lap. The torn lining looked almost identical to the cut inside her suitcase. She could take Claire's offer. She could move. She could start again somewhere no one knew the accusation. Nora had left before. She had left a husband who apologized only after he broke things. She had left jobs where families expected 24-hour loyalty for part-time pay. She had told herself each quiet exit was dignity. Sometimes it was. Sometimes it was fear wearing a good coat. At 8, Nora carried the green suitcase to the laundromat because her apartment machine could not handle the blanket Claire had thrown inside it during the search. While the washer turned, Nora sat beneath fluorescent lights and repaired the cut lining. Her needle struck something stiff. She reached inside and pulled out Ben's paper bird. One wing had torn. On the underside, Ellie had written in purple marker, "Home is where people come back." Nora stared at the words until they blurred. The children had hidden the bird before any of this happened. It was not evidence. It would not recover the locket or clear her agency record. But it reminded her what silence would teach them. That the truth belonged to the adult with the house. That love meant accepting whatever accusation kept the peace. That leaving quietly was the same thing as being good. Nora threaded purple cotton through the needle and repaired the bird's wing. Then she opened her laptop and wrote a formal appeal to the agency. She admitted photographing Claire's planner. She denied theft. She attached the auction listing, Felix's preliminary technical observations, and a precise timeline of her access code failing before the alleged entry. At the end she wrote, "I will cooperate with a fair review. I will not sign a statement that implies responsibility for property I did not take." She clicked send. The washer stopped spinning. Nora folded the repaired paper bird and placed it in the suitcase pocket, where it belonged. The safest path was gone. For once she had closed it herself. Sunday morning, Michael called Nora from the printing shop. "I found Emily's insurance inventory," he said. "The auction office says it's enough to continue the hold, but Felix needs to confirm the repair details." "Good. You don't sound surprised. I'm glad you did what needed doing." He was quiet. "Claire says the replica was meant to be a surprise for the twins. Did she explain why it was beneath my suitcase lining?" "She says she didn't put it there." "And the code?" "She says you must have shared it." "My usual code had already stopped working." "I know." Nora waited. Michael exhaled. "Tell me exactly what to ask the lock company." At the printing shop, Nora sat across from Michael's desk while he signed into the lock account. Wedding samples covered one corner. He turned them face down. The ordinary activity screen showed one entry. 1:14 a.m. Nora, side door. "There," Michael said. "That's what I saw." "A label," Nora replied. "Now open settings." He clicked through device management, owner profiles and archived access. "I don't see anything." "Call support." The representative verified Michael's identity and explained how to request the 30-day administration report. It would be emailed within 24 hours. Michael rubbed his face. "We wait." "No. We finish everything else." They went to Felix's shop with Emily's insurance inventory and repair receipt. Felix locked the front door and placed the replica photographs beside his original service notes. "The original hinge sits slightly above center," he said. "The inside velvet has a hand repair. The engraving pressure varies. The object found in Nora's suitcase has none of those features." Michael's voice was rough. "Did Claire order it?" Felix looked at the ownership documents, then at Nora. "She commissioned a reproduction using photographs of the original. She said it was for the wedding." "When was it delivered?" Felix opened his binder. "Wednesday at 4:10. To Claire Denton at her office." The replica had reached Claire less than 12 hours before a code labeled Nora entered the Carter house. Michael gripped the counter. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because she was your fiancée and had the original in her possession. I believed you knew." "Did she still have the original when she collected the copy?" "No. She said it was at home." Felix produced a limited statement identifying the repair differences, commission date, and delivery recipient. Nora read it carefully. "This proves she had the copy," Michael said. "It doesn't prove she planted it," Nora replied. He stared at her. "You're defending her now?" "I'm protecting the case from becoming another assumption." Back at the shop, Nora arranged the records in chronological order. Tuesday, Claire possessed the genuine locket at Felix's shop. Wednesday, Claire received the replica. Thursday, 1:10 a.m. Unknown temporary code created. Thursday, 1:14 a.m. Code labeled Nora used. Thursday morning, replica found in Nora's suitcase. Friday, genuine locket identified in the auction catalog. Michael looked at the sequence. The auction listing says the item came from a collateral liquidation. Nora turned toward him. Meaning someone pledged it for a loan. Claire's business has been struggling. How badly? She told me it was seasonal. Ask for facts. Michael looked toward the wedding samples. I don't know if I can do this. You already did the part where you accused me. He winced. Nora did not apologize. Her phone buzzed. The agency had acknowledged her appeal but maintained the suspension. Michael read the message over her shoulder. I can cover what you lost. No. Nora. You don't get to replace procedure with a check because guilt feels uncomfortable. I'm trying to make it right. Then help establish the record. At 4:37 that afternoon, the administration report arrived. Michael opened the attachment. The report contained more detail than the regular screen. Device identifiers. Profile changes. Temporary credentials. Nora pointed to a line. 1:10 a.m. Temporary access created. Label Nora. Created by paired device. Claire D. Mobile. Michael stopped breathing for a moment. The next line showed the code used at 1:14. Then, at 5:52, the temporary credential had been deleted by the same paired device. Michael read the lines aloud once. Then again. Claire's phone had created a new code, named it Nora, used it 4 minutes later, and erased it before sunrise. Nora sat back. There was no satisfaction in Michael's face. Only collapse. I let her do this, he said. No. She did it. I believed her. You believed the easiest version. He looked at Nora. I am sorry. She held his gaze. I hear you. It was not forgiveness. Not yet. Michael reached for his phone. Nora stopped him. Don't call Claire until the evidence is preserved. She's at the auction office. She said she was meeting the manager to clear up a paperwork problem. Nora stood. Then send the report to yourself, your attorney, the agency, and the auction manager. Right now. Michael did. Nora sent her own evidence packet to the agency. Once it was gone, there would be no quiet return to the old arrangement. Michael picked up his coat. What do we say to Claire? The truth, Nora said. In order. Claire stood at the auction counter with one hand on Emily's locket. The item remained inside a clear display case. The floor manager stood behind it, expression flat and professional. You cannot touch the lot while the hold is active, she told Claire. I'm the person who consigned it. That does not resolve the ownership dispute. Michael entered first. Nora and Felix followed. Claire turned. Why is she here? Nora placed the evidence folder on the counter. Because you put a copy of that locket in my suitcase. Claire looked at Michael. You promised we would handle this privately. I promised before I saw the administration record. The color left her face. Nora noticed, but she did not rush. She had spent too many years calming frightened children to mistake speed for control. The floor manager led them into a plain conference room. The genuine locket remained secured outside. Felix sat near the door. Michael stayed standing. Claire folded her arms. This is ridiculous. I ordered a replica for the wedding. That is not a crime. No, Nora said. Ordering it isn't. You found out about it and decided to punish me. How would I get it? You were in the house constantly. The delivery record places it at your office Wednesday afternoon. I brought it home. Exactly. Claire glanced at Michael. She could have taken it after that. Nora opened the folder. Tuesday you took the genuine locket to Felix. Wednesday you received the replica. By Thursday morning, the original was already in the collateral chain that sent it to this auction. Claire shook her head. You cannot prove when it entered that chain. The floor manager spoke. Our intake record predates Thursday morning. Michael closed his eyes briefly. Claire recovered. Fine. I borrowed the original. I was going to use it in the ceremony. The replica was for the children, so each twin could have something similar later. Then why didn't you tell Michael the original was gone? Nora asked. It wasn't gone. It was pledged. Claire's mouth tightened. Nora continued. Your business owed vendors. You used the locket as collateral. That is not your business. It became my business when the replacement was sewn into my suitcase. I didn't sew anything. Nora placed photographs of the cut lining on the table. You asked the twins where I kept the suitcase. You had the replica. You knew my normal code had stopped working. Claire laughed, but the sound was thin. Children misunderstand questions. Then we don't need their interpretation. Nora slid the administration report across the table. Your phone created a temporary code at 1:10 in the morning. You labeled it Nora. It opened the side door 4 minutes later. You deleted it before sunrise. Claire did not touch the paper. Michael's voice cracked. Tell me there's an explanation. There is, Claire said quickly. I went back for wedding materials. I used Nora's name because that was the old code slot. The app must have carried it over. Felix shook his head. That is not how labels work. Claire snapped. You repair jewelry. Stay in your lane. Nora kept her voice level. The code was newly created. The name was typed. Even if you entered only for wedding materials, why label the credential with my name? Claire looked toward the door. No one filled the silence. Nora asked again. Why my name? Claire's composure broke one small piece at a time. First her shoulders lowered. Then her hands opened. Finally she sat. I needed time, she whispered. Michael stared at her. Claire looked at him now, not Nora. The business account was frozen. I had tax payments, 2 vendors, and the hotel deposit. The lender said I could redeem the locket in 10 days. I thought the spring contracts would clear. You stole Emily's locket, Michael said. I borrowed it. You used it for a loan without asking. I was going to put it back. But you couldn't. Claire pressed a hand against her mouth. They transferred the collateral. I panicked. So you ordered the copy, Nora said. I had already ordered it for the wedding. And when the original was transferred? Claire's eyes filled. I thought if the copy was found somewhere else, Michael would believe the original had never left the house. In my suitcase. You were leaving after the wedding anyway. Nora went still. Says who? Claire looked away. You told Michael I planned to leave? I told him you were tired. That the children needed to depend on family. Michael's face hardened. And the code. Claire wiped her cheeks. I created it. I went in through the side door. I put the replica beneath the lining. Then you let me accuse her, Michael said. I thought it would be temporary. I thought she'd go quietly, the insurance would cover the locket if it was ever reported, and after the wedding I could fix the loan. Nora almost pitied her. Almost. Claire had not planned one dramatic act of cruelty. She had made a chain of practical choices, each designed to protect the next lie. Michael turned away. The wedding is over, he said. Claire stood. Michael, please. I did this because I was trying to keep our future. You tried to buy our future with Emily's memory and Nora's name. The floor manager explained that the locket would remain on hold while ownership and financial claims were reviewed. No one would walk out with it that day. Michael nodded. We'll provide whatever you need. Outside the conference room, he called the school and asked for the twins to be brought to a counselor's office Monday morning for written statements. Nora took the phone from his hand and ended the call before it connected. Michael stared at her. No. They heard Claire pressure them. Their statements matter. The adult evidence is enough. What if the agency asks? Then I answer. Felix answers. The system record answers. The auction timeline answers. Michael lowered his voice. Nora, I'm trying to make sure this holds. And I am telling you that Ellie and Ben do not have to prove they love me by testifying against someone they trusted. Claire stood several feet away, crying silently. Nora looked at Michael. Adults built this mess. Adults carry it. After a long moment, Michael put the phone in his pocket. All right. That was Nora's final victory. Not Claire's admission. Not the lock report. Not even the locket waiting behind glass. It was the moment the children were allowed to remain children while the adults finally faced what they had done. The locket did not return home the next day. It took 3 weeks. Michael provided Emily's insurance inventory, photographs, and Felix's repair records. The auction company verified the ownership claim and documented its own costs. An attorney handled the dispute connected to Claire's unpaid loan. There were forms, calls, and delays. The truth moved more slowly than the lie had. Claire moved out of the Carter house that Monday. Michael ended the engagement. He did not explain every detail to the twins. He told them that Claire had taken something that was not hers, blamed Nora, and broken the family's trust. Claire sent Nora one apology by email. Nora read it once. She did not answer. The agency removed the theft allegation from Nora's record after reviewing the SmartLock report, Felix's statement, and the auction documents. Her profile was restored, but the weeks without assignment stayed unpaid. Michael offered to cover the loss. Nora refused the personal check. She did accept reimbursement after the agency and Michael's attorney documented it as lost wages caused by the false report. The difference mattered to her. So did the paperwork. When Michael asked Nora to return, she did not say yes immediately. They sat at the Carter kitchen table while Ellie and Ben were at school. Emily's locket lay between them, still sealed in its protective case. "I want things back the way they were," Michael said. "No, you don't." He looked surprised. "The way things were allowed this to happen," Nora continued. "I worked late without tracking the hours. I handled emergencies because I loved the children. You treated my loyalty like it came with unlimited access to my time, then treated your access log like it mattered more than my word." Michael lowered his eyes. "You're right. I need a written contract. Paid leave. Defined hours. Emergency terms. And when there is a serious accusation, you ask questions before reaching a verdict. You shouldn't have to put that in a contract." "I shouldn't put it in anyway." He nodded. "And I keep my apartment. I wasn't asking you to move in. You were about to." A faint, embarrassed smile appeared. "Maybe. No. Fair enough." Nora returned the following Monday. Ellie hit her at a run in the front hallway. Ben followed, pretending he had only walked quickly. The twins asked to see the locket. Michael opened the case at the kitchen table. Emily's photograph smiled up at them. "Are you going to lock it away?" Ellie asked. Michael looked at Nora. "Ask them," she said. Together, they chose a small secure display cabinet in the living room. The locket would remain visible, but no one could remove it without Michael's key. It belonged to the family. Not to the loudest memory. Not to the newest adult. Not to whoever was most afraid of losing control. That evening, Michael apologized to the twins at the kitchen table. He did not blame Claire, grief, work, or confusion. He told them he had trusted a convenient explanation and had failed to listen when they tried to speak. Ben asked whether adults could get grounded. Michael said, "Sometimes the consequence is living with what you did and doing better." Ellie looked at Nora. "Do you forgive him?" Nora chose her words carefully. "Forgiveness isn't a light switch. Your dad apologized and now he has to be trustworthy for more than one day." Michael nodded. "She's right." The twins seemed relieved by that answer. No one had demanded an instant happy ending. Later, Michael placed Nora's returned house key on the table. It was attached to a new tag bearing her name. Nora checked the lock app herself and confirmed that her permanent code belonged to her profile. She slipped the key into her purse. This time, access was not a favor that could be rewritten in the dark. 4 weeks later, Nora packed the green suitcase for her first paid weekend off. Ben watched from the stairs. "You're really coming back Sunday?" That is generally what weekend off means. Generally sounds suspicious. Nora zipped the case. The repaired lining held. The bad will still squeaked. Ellie tied a paper tag to the handle. In purple marker she had written, "Back Sunday." Nora rolled the suitcase to the front entryway. For one quiet second, all three of them remembered the morning the twins had blocked the door. Ben stepped toward it. Then he reached past Nora and opened it. Cold air entered the house. Ellie hugged Nora once and let go. "Text when you get there." "I will." Ben pointed at the tag. "Don't lose that." "Not a chance." Nora rolled the suitcase across the porch. At the sidewalk she turned. The twins stood inside the open doorway waving. They were not crying. They were not blocking her path. They knew now that a person could leave and still keep a promise. Nora lifted one hand, then continued toward her car as the paper tag moved gently against the green suitcase. Back Sunday. This time everybody believed it. If Nora's story stayed with you, share it with someone who believes the truth is worth standing up for. Like the video, subscribe and tell us in the comments, was Nora right to return?